Right, good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. My first laptop, the microphone wasn't working, and now this one, the fans for some reason are running at high speed. So I hope you can hear me, but we'll make do. So yeah, welcome to briefing for Monday, the 29th of April. Okay, synoptic situation today. You see these isobars are quite tightly packed, bringing in southwesterly wind, a little bit more south in it. And they painted on here at midday as occlusion just out to the west, which is going to be bringing with it some cloud, which is going to be reducing the soaring potential, but isn't going to be bothering us otherwise too much. Moving ahead to tomorrow, that occlusion really just sat out to our west, and hopefully it's not going to cause too much of a problem, but again, may bring some cloud that reduces any soaring potential. Wind slightly easing tomorrow, but you can see these isobars kinking round to the east, so potentially a southeasterly blow, which might put us down on 1.6. Okay, spot winds today at height, fairly brisk, 30 to 35 knots, varying between the south and the south-southwest. So just enough of a westerly component that puts us on 2.3 as opposed to 1.6 today, but unfortunately too much to stick it out on 2.7. SAPIC, you can see the sort of rotation of that low pressure there and the associated cloud with that occlusion. Not causing us too much of a problem at Lasham at this point, but as I say, it's going to be cutting off some of the soaring and making it worse out to the west. Rainfall radar, then you can see that front very clearly out to the west. As we go through the day, you can see that occlusion not really moving around very much. You certainly don't want to be going out to the west, and maybe the rain's coming in very slightly, but it's not going to get to us today, certainly. Public forecast then showing quite a nice day, sunny intervals with a top temperature of 13 degrees. Just the main factor really being that wind increasing steadily throughout the morning and into the afternoon, and peaking, it looks like about mid-afternoon with gusts up to about 28 knots. So we're starting to push the limits of flying there. We'll carry on all day, but we will need to be very careful of that. Temperatures at midday or 1 p.m. about 12 to 13 degrees, 14 if you're slightly east. And dew points generally higher to the west. You see over London, it's really quite dry at about 4 degrees. So it'd be a great place to fly today if only we could. Otherwise, dew points up at 7 to 8 degrees in our area. Currently outside, I'll just give that a refresh. Yeah, you can see that wind coming in from the southwest and the clouds developing quite nicely already. Yeah, currently it's over 11 degrees, dew points just over 7. So Odium showing for most of the day, few 2,000 feet. This morning scattered at 2,000. They've put a temporary here, well, all day really. It's 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Winds 18 knots from the south with gusts up to 28 knots. So that's your potential flight distance for the day. You can see Lasham is just on the edge of that good area to the east, as we mentioned, London area, and not very good area out to the west. So if we have a look as to why that might be, there are clouds at 11 a.m. and you can see Lasham area as sort of cumulus, but as you go west, it's showing spread out and some of that below cirrus as well. Otherwise, the east is much bluer and less cirrus and much less chance of spread out. And that doesn't really change much going throughout the day. If anything, it advances to the east. So we may see the best part of the soaring earlier in the day, with it deteriorating slightly later. Thermals at 11 a.m. up to 3,000 feet, going forward a couple of hours, not really changing very much. You can see some spread out to the west and lowering bases as you get closer to that occlusion. Looking more reliable out to the east, if you can somehow script your way up to Cambridgeshire, potentially climb up to about 4,000 feet. So that's really the place to be today. And later in the afternoon, maybe even 4.5, 5,000 feet over that way. The site forecast for Lasham, showing thermals 2 to 3 knots from about 11 a.m. going to about 3, 4 p.m. and then dying out quite quickly by the looks of it. Usable height above ground is about 2.5 to 3,000 feet, just getting slightly over 3,000 feet at about 3 p.m. No, not really in no terms. If you are going way up to the north, there's some firing around. Number 37, parachuting at Little Whittington. That's all day. The heights will be at generally a 6 nautical mile radius. Yeah, up to 5 to 8,000 feet. Otherwise, there's not really anything on here that's going to matter. Okay, operationally, we're going to set up on runway 23, as I mentioned. It's going to be a standard setup. Launch point in normal position, winch launching from the grass on the eastern side of the launch point. Cables running down here. We'll probably slightly offset them with the southerly component, just like so. If the grass is really wet, then maybe we'll bring them to the normal place. But I think it's probably dried out enough overnight that we'll have the cables somewhere like that. Aerotowing will be in the direction of 2-3 as normal. Fortunately, I highly doubt we're going to be busy enough to warrant a grid or really a lot of aerotows. So when you're ready to go, just bring your glider to the launch point and we'll launch you off the grass on runway 23. Okay, a couple of movements. So we've got a King Air departing at 3 p.m. Doesn't affect us too much. We won't need to move everything off the runway. We just need to pause launching for a couple of minutes. And we've got a 737 inbound at 3:40 from Paris. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll have about an hour's notice, depending on how exactly it's going to be on time or not. If you are coming back from across country, then just listen out on the radio, make sure nothing's going on. And of course, the runway will change from 23 to 27 if we do have 737 coming in. Okay, looks like a reasonable day, certainly further to the east. I'll see you out there. Bye for now.